ರಕ್ತ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ರೋಗಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಶಾಕಿರಣವಾದ ಭಾರತದ ಮೊದಲ CAR-T-ಸೆಲ್ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ 2 ವರ್ಷಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತಮ ಫಲಿತಾಂಶ. ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಲ್ ಥೆರಪ್ಯೂಟಿಕ್ಸ್ನ ಪ್ರಗತಿ ದತ್ತಾಂಶವು ವಾರ್ನಿಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಜಿನಾಟೋಲ್ಯೂಸೆಲ್ IMN003 ನೊಂದಿಗೆ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ಪಡೆದ ಬಹು ರೋಗಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಿರಂತರ ಉಪಶಮನವನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. 7 ರೋಗಿಗಳು 2 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಪ್ರಗತಿ ಮುಕ್ತ ಬದುಕುಳಿಯುವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು PFS ಮೀರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಭಾರತೀಯ CAR-T ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆಗೆ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯವಾಗಿ ಮೊದಲು ಹೆಸರುವಾಸಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಭಾರತೀಯ ಆಂಕೋಲಾಜಿ ಆರೈಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಮೈಲಿಗಲ್ಲಾಗಿರುವ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಲ್ ಥೆರಪ್ಯೂಟಿಕ್ಸ್ನ ಮೇಡ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ CAR-T-ಸೆಲ್ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆಯು ಆಕ್ರಮಣಕಾರಿ ರಕ್ತ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಹೊಂದಿರುವ ರೋಗಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ದೇಶದ ಮೊದಲ ದೀರ್ಘಕಾಲೀನ ಉಪಶಮನವನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದೆ. 2022 ರಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ಪಡೆದ 7 ರೋಗಿಗಳು ಈಗ 2 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಪ್ರಗತಿ ಮುಕ್ತ ಬದುಕುಳಿಯುವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು PFS ಮೀರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಮೇಡ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ CAR-T-ಸೆಲ್ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆಗೆ ಮೊದಲನೆಯದು.
Maybe I should start by saying that, medical science is advancing by leaps and bounds because of how new knowledge is being unleashed through new science. The new technologies like AI and other digital technologies, it is getting easier to understand the complexities of biology. Now, cell biology has always been a very, very important science, and I think in recent times we are learning to use cells in a very, very advanced way. Now, CAR-T therapy, just to explain to you what it is, cancer patients develop certain types of cancers, and therefore the cancer grows and spreads. And this is especially true of your blood cancers. This is just putting it in a very layperson's parlance. What CAR-Ts do is that you basically take the blood from the cancer patients, you remove these T cells that are not doing the right job to kill the cancer cells. You engineer the T cells in a lab so that they become killer T cells, and you expand these T cells in the lab and put it back into these patients. And what these engineered T cells, which are called CAR-T cells, do is that they hunt for these cancer cells and kill them. And that is the power of this technology, and this is the power of cell therapy. That is why it's called autologous cell therapy, which means that you take the patient's blood, you transform that patient's blood and put it back into the same patient, and it does the work. And that's the way you get rid of those cancers. Today at the inauguration, we were actually celebrating the 3-year remission of our first patient who was given this dose of CAR-T. This patient actually shared his journey by saying that he had run out of all options because they had tried all treatments to get rid of his blood cancer or lymphoma, but it was not working. And as a last resort, he was advised to come and try out CAR-T. And today, 3 years later, he's an absolutely normal man doing everything he wants to do, and he said, I'm alive today because of CAR-T. This is the miracle therapy, the miracle drug, the life-saving drug, the curative cancer drug that everyone has got very excited about. And Immunil has brought this drug to patients in India in a very accessible, affordable way, because these kind of therapies in the West cost $500,000 to $1 million per patient, and here of course it costs a fraction of that. And that's what is very exciting for us as scientists, us as a startup company. We have now treated about 50 patients, and it's very nice to see that a large number of these patients have responded very positively and are in remission for a long period of time, and we consider such patients as cured. So that is the power of these technologies. And we want to basically develop more and more such CAR-Ts for different kinds of cancers. And I think the team at Immunil is very, very excited, is very capable, and is developing a very, very powerful pipeline of products that I'm sure will really, really change the way we look at these cancers. So with that, I would like to say that as a co-founder of Immunil, I'm very, very pleased and proud that we have advanced so much in such a short time with such world-class capabilities and with such great world-class outcomes. That is what I think we need to celebrate. Because I think patients living to such long durations of time is what makes these technologies speak for themselves.
Immunil, we have been pioneers in for India. We were the first company to launch the trial for a CAR-T called Imagine. We are the first company to bring a global standard product, CAR-T product, to India. And we are the first company to have seen amongst the patients we have treated. Kiran ma'am was mentioning that we have treated 50 patients over the last few years. There are 7 patients who have crossed 2-year progression-free survival, which is a national first for Indian CAR-T therapy. Why is this so important? It is important because of few reasons. One is, cell and gene therapy is the next frontier of medical science. In India itself, there are 70 million odd cases due to genetic disorders which are quite untreatable right now. And innovations such as what we are trying to do will provide hope and treatment for such patients. Every year, close to 1 lakh patients get blood cancers, and many of them would get treatment with therapies such as CAR-T therapies for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, leukemia, and multiple myeloma, all of these 3 programs that we are working on. Lastly, ma'am mentioned a very, very important point. This therapy is personalized therapy, which means that treatment is created with the patient at the center, which means we have to work very, very closely with the hospitals, with right standards, with right safety standards. We have been the first company in India to create an accreditation process where we have accredited 50 plus hospital chains across the country to be able to provide cell and gene therapy, which means we are building an ecosystem for the nation to provide cell and gene therapies to patients. That is the access that today the country has. We want to remove those 2 zeros. Why should the patient travel so far? Why can't CAR-T therapy be accessible to the patient where he or she is? Millions of dollars are spent by patients across therapy lines. Why should they spend millions of dollars? We want to be the pioneer for the world in actually showing that this therapy can be done at scale and at a fraction of the cost. We are already providing therapy at 10% of global cost today. This is the Independence Month, and I also wanted to share that we have launched a campaign called Azadi Lymphoma Se, which is really independence for patients who are struggling with lymphoma and who had no hope, where with CAR-T therapy they can get hope to be free from lymphoma, which is a killer disease. Thank you.